Speaking of Donald Trump, he delivered another unhinged, deranged speech in Columbia, South Carolina this time. And I want to go through some of this. We'll get to the particularly unhinged moments. But first, just to start on a lighter note, let's watch this first clip that I'll show you of him once again ranting about water pressure, about showers, as we've heard many times, but now bragging about how beautiful his hair is.
So, little things like your sink, you buy a sink and no water comes out because they have regulators on the water. Even if you're in a state where water comes out of heaven all day long, doesn't make any difference. When you take a shower, I like to have, I have this gorgeous head of hair. When I take a shower, I want water to pour down on me. When you go into these new homes with showers, the water drips down slowly. You have suds, beautiful, nice, wonderful suds, a lot of money, Procter & Gamble, all that crap that they say is good. Probably cost them about 2 cents and they sell it for $10. But you can't, it takes you 10 minutes to wash your hair. You know what you do? You just stay in the shower about 10 times longer than you would have. It's the same. You probably use more water. I broke all that up.
He broke all that up. He's trying to say that when he was president, he fixed that. Did any of y'all notice any differences in your water pressure during Trump's presidency versus before and after it? I sure didn't. And maybe you do, but I don't experience the problems that he talks a lot about. When I say he talks a lot about them, I am referencing this. Again, this is more lighthearted. Then we'll get to the more important stuff. But he's been talking about this for a while.
We have a situation where we're looking very strongly at sinks and showers and other elements of bathrooms where you turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it, and you don't get any water. You turn on the faucet, you don't get any water. They take a shower and water comes dripping out, just dripping out, very quietly dripping out. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once.
And we did learn that Donald Trump has been apparently, especially when he was president, flushing documents down toilets. So that gave us an answer as to why he's experiencing 10 flushes, 15 flushes to get the stuff down the toilet. But as to why he's experiencing the shower thing, I really don't know. Maybe he really does just put a whole lot of product and shampoo and conditioner in his hair. It takes a lot to get out, so it feels like a drip of water. I don't know. Now we move to the more consequential things, starting with the baseless accusations of Biden being crooked.
The facts, comparing crooked Joe Biden, and he is crooked as hell. Boy, do you believe what's going on? Lindsay, what's going on with this guy? He's crooked. Now we have to do something about it. They do, we don't. We got to do something about it.
No, actually, first you have to have evidence of these things. Then you do something about it. You find the evidence, then you pursue the accountability, not the other way around. Then on Jack Smith, his language about Jack Smith, and we'll get to on tomorrow's show another speech where he ups it even further, but it's getting more and more dangerous where he's attacking Jack Smith in more and more extreme language.
Actually, every poll, we're kicking Biden's ass. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And
that's not true.
If I wasn't, we wouldn't be under investigation by deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged human being. You take a look at that face, you say, that guy is a sick man. There's something wrong with him. Somebody said, why don't you be nice to him? I said, wouldn't matter. This guy's a maniac. They gave me a maniac. They gave him the nicest man in the world. You know the boxer's hooks, right? The boxer's hook. This guy's got 1,850 boxes, Lindsay.
And then what we've addressed before on that dishonest talking point. So saying deranged and sick to describe someone who is simply doing the job of upholding the law, which we should all support. Obviously, Trump, no matter what, would be unlikely. But the fact that the entire movement behind him and the GOP as a whole is now standing behind claims, accusations like the ones that Trump is levying towards anyone who dares hold him accountable for his what now seem to be clear violations of the law is deeply concerning and absurd, because we heard this for so long from the GOP. We should have a country of law and order where no one's above the law. And that's what we're seeing. And even though we hear time and time again now when it comes to Trump that this is an example of a system being broken, two-tier justice system that's targeted toward hurting Trump and his supporters and conservatives, actually this is the system doing what it should do. And in some situations, what it's failed to do many times in the past, of holding accountable when there's evidence for crimes, all people, including those who are wealthy, well-connected, and powerful, such as Donald Trump. Next moment, rolling out the same dishonest defense.
Sick what's going on. Have you ever seen anything like what's going on? I mean, I never heard the word indictment. Then all of a sudden, over a period of a couple of weeks, you get 4 indictments. They do this to try and win an...
Sorry, before we get to the free speech thing he'll bring up, I don't get that. I never even heard indictment. Why are you admitting that you... Obviously, he has heard that word before now, but even it being kind of a playful statement makes no sense, because that would just indicate for all the decades you were alive, you weren't paying attention that much.
An election. Nobody ever thought it was possible. It's done in third world countries. It's not done in this country. And as Henry said, those indictments aren't worth the paper they're written on. They're not worth, they took away free speech. I mean, in one case, you have the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do whatever. You got to read it. I read it to people. As soon as you read it, they say, oh, I have no idea. They didn't know that. But in the other case, it's free speech. This means that we cannot ever criticize or look after election. Once that happens.
So we've addressed the Presidential Records Act thing a million times. If you read the Presidential Records Act, first, he wasn't in compliance with it. And second, he's being charged not because of that. But then you move over to the case he's referencing, which is his third indictment in regard to charges in relation to his attempts to overturn the 2020 election results, possibly unlawfully, him saying that that's just an attack on freedom of speech. Now, political speech, you can't do it because you'll get prosecuted. In the indictment, explicitly, it outlines that Trump was allowed to question the results. He was allowed to make all of these false claims, and he was allowed to legally challenge the results. It is when he stepped into unlawful territory in trying to keep himself in power that now prosecutors have an interest in it. That could not have been put more clearly in the indictment. And so then to see all these people respond to the indictment by, as I mentioned in a previous show, boxing with this straw man over and over and over publicly and addressing talking points and spewing talking points that just aren't even relevant. Not only are they being dishonest, they're being dishonest about subjects that aren't even relevant to the indictment, to what Trump's being accused of, which makes it so aggravating because, and this has been the case with all of his legal troubles, then we can't have even a debate about the merits of the case or about the evidence being brought forward. And no one on the right that I've heard is actually walking through and saying he is accused of this here and this evidence being brought forward. Oh, nope, that's not actually the case because of this reason or that reason, or I don't think this actually exemplifies a violation of the law, or none of it. All we get is made up stories about what Trump's being charged for that he's actually not being charged for. It's the actions he did that he was justifying with his lies about the election, not his lies about the election. So aggravating. And then a final clip we'll look at from this speech.
Is put forth by the Biden sham. We call it a sham indictment, and the man that's doing it, I really believe he's mentally ill. But these are outrageous, and it is an outrageous criminalization of political speech. They're trying to make it illegal to question the results of an election. By the way, you have to see the pundits, even pundits that hate me with a passion, very liberal, very far left, they're saying, you can't do that. You're not going to have anything left.
Nope, not happening. False. It's not being made illegal to question the results of an election. It's being made illegal to then use that to justify unlawful actions, like bringing forward, among other things in this indictment, a fraudulent slate of electors to pretend you won when you didn't, and then disenfranchise voters by keeping yourself power despite them voting you out, and then the various other details we've discussed in the past of pressuring election officials to go along with on the state level, putting forward fraudulent results, and all of it. It's the unlawful actions that Trump was taking. I know you guys know that, but what can you do other than debunk what is being said. And then, of course, to end on this, him saying Jack Smith is mentally ill, as he did there, and then deranged and sick, all of these further emphasize his lack of an actual defense. Because if he had one, he would focus on debunking the allegations, not just targeting the person bringing the allegations. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.